article. So this is the most important slide that you will see in this presentation today. If you forget everything else that I've been shouting about in this presentation, please remember this one. 2 sections to the structure of academic article writing. The title and the abstract are the first section. The main text is the second section. Most people do not read all the way through academic papers, although our goal is to make our writing good enough, attractive enough, interesting enough that people will read all the way through our articles. But so many people make the mistake of not putting enough effort and energy into the title and into the abstract of their articles. So don't make that mistake yourself as an author. Come up with a good title, come up with a good abstract that's effective, that sells the message of your work to the audience, gets your message across effectively. Let's have a look at some examples from our colleagues at Bentham Science. Here's one published in 2019 in the journal Anti-Cancer Agents in Medicinal Chemistry, one of a wide range of open access and hybrid journals, as I've already discussed, published by our friends at Bentham Science. Here you can see, let's count the words in the title of this article. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shorter than 7, this paper has a high chance of being highly cited. And you can see here the structure to the abstract that I've been talking about: the background, the methods, the results, and conclusions. These kinds of papers are easier for you to write as an author if the structure is in place for you. So, as we've discussed today, this journal, Anti-Cancer Agents in Medicinal Chemistry, it asks authors to provide a structured abstract. But even if you pick a journal that does not want you to provide a structured abstract, you can still do it, because that will help you as an author to effectively write the contents of your paper in the abstract and get the structure right. Bring in the information in the correct sequence so the readers don't get confused. Very important to think about this. Here's another example. Here's another example, this time published in Current Alzheimer's Research, again by Bentham. You can see slightly longer title, but interesting in this case. And again, I won't dwell on this, but you have here the structure to the abstract, the background. Why did you do the study? The objective. Why did you do the study? The method. What did you do? The results. What did you find? And the conclusion and significance. What are the outcomes of the work? If you think back to the 4-question technique that I introduced earlier in this webinar presentation, you'll start to see how this works. And maybe you've not thought before about the structure of academic articles, but highly cited, successful authors use a structure. It's one of the 3 things that you need to know before you start to write: message, audience, and structure. What's the message of your work? What is it that you want people to get out of reading your work? In this case, the message is that an inflammation-related nutrient pattern is associated with brain and cognitive measures in a multi-ethnic elderly population. The message is often the title. The audience, the second thing to know, that's the target journal. We're going to come back and talk about that specifically in a later Bentham diffusion webinar presentation. But of course, picking a good, effective target journal is also important in academic writing. The third thing to know is, of course, the structure, which is what we've been discussing in our presentation today. Here's another example, again, a short title, this time published in Current Pharmaceutical Design, again, highly cited, even though it was published just earlier this year. And here's an example for you of an abstract that doesn't have a structure enforced on it by the journal. But nevertheless, if you read this abstract, if you go in with a colored marker, with a colored pen, and mark off the different sections of this abstract, you will see that the information is written, the information comes in a particular sequence. Why did you do the study? What did you do? What did you find? And what did you conclude? In that sequence, in that structure. Here's another example, this time from Current Genomics, one of the highest profile journals published by our colleagues at Bentham Science. And again, here you can see a short title and the structure, the clear structure to the abstract, background, methods, results, and conclusion. It sounds easy, it sounds obvious, but so many authors do not get this right when putting their papers together. So don't make the mistakes that I used to make. Don't make the mistakes that will slow down your career, that will mean that you miss out on those high impact factor publications in leading international journals. My final example from Current Signal Transduction Therapy, identifying user suitability in an SM-based hand prosthesis using neural networks. And again, structure is key there in the abstract. Many of these Bentham Science journals are easier to write for as an author because the abstract structure is enforced on you, the author, by the journal. So, in order to be effective writing and publishing your own academic work, there are things to do before you start to write. Choose your topic, identify your audience, identify your purpose, and of course, gathering all the submission information, all the information that you need to make that submission to a journal. Your message, your audience, and your structure, which we'll come back to and talk about again in future presentations. But having the right preparation, knowing about the structure of your writing, and being in the right mindset to actually put the work together are key. And people always ask, how can I be in the right mindset for academic writing? I know that some days you won't be, some days will be better than others. But if you know your structure, there are always things that you can work on to be productive, like formatting references, putting together table captions, providing information in the right section of the methods section, of the results section, of the discussion, for example. You have that skeleton, you have that template for writing that we've talked about in our webinar presentation today. You can be more efficient, effective writing and publishing your own work. So here is a roadmap for effective academic publishing. Prepare to write. Think about selling yourself, your idea, the outcomes, the results of your study to a journal to capture your editor's attention. Develop the structure as we've discussed today, otherwise you, the editor, the peer reviewers, the readers will get lost, and use effective writing techniques, which I know is difficult if English is not your native language, but we'll talk about this in later presentations. We'll give you some insights, some tricks, and some ideas around the structure that we've talked about today in order to make a difference to your efficiency as writers. So, as we come to the end of the webinar content for today, let me go over what we've talked about in this presentation. We have talked about two things: the basic structure of academic articles. Remember, the abstract and the title, that's one section. The rest of the paper, that's the rest of the structure. And we've dived in, we've gone in deep or deeper into the different sections of academic paper writing, and we've given you a template that you can use for writing a title, an abstract, an introduction, methods, results, and discussion. I hope that it's coming together, it's making more sense as a result of this presentation. And don't forget, the point of this, all of this training that we provide, is to help you be more effective as an academic, especially now that so many of us are having to work from home. So thank you for listening. We have a free gift discount code that you can enter into our editing site if you would like to avail yourself of any of our editing services. Have a look at the Bentham Science website. Have a look at all of the open access and hybrid journals that our colleagues, good friends at Bentham Science provide for authors. And please sign up for our future training events if there's something, I hope there will be, of interest to you.